how to get through the holiday season. This is 9 tips on how to get through the holiday period with more ease. By the end of this session, you're going to have some really, really helpful, practical tips on a physical level and on an emotional level. So you're basically more empowered. Okay. And like I said, by the end of the session, you're going to have some tools that you can put in your tool belt and walk through the season with a little bit more ease and enjoyment. Let's get into it. So we're going to start with some really practical tips first. By the way, you can use a pen and paper and you can write these out. We do have a PDF available for all of you members. We'll link it at the end and send you an email if that's cool. Number one, don't try to be what you're not. Now, I asked you a question before we went live just before about, are you excited about Christmas and the holiday season or are you not? And I asked you that question purely just for you to become honest with yourself, right? I don't want you to pretend something that you're not. And it's important throughout this holiday season and any time really to don't try and be what you're not. Sometimes we can feel a lot of pressure around certain people and we have to feel like we have to pep ourselves up a little bit. We have to put on a big smile and kind of be really cheesy and greasy, and it just doesn't feel right. It feels yuck, right? The coolest thing you can do is be yourself. Yeah. And you're going to be amazed at what can happen when you adjust you. You'll be amazed with the conversations you'll have, with the depth that you'll have with people if you're meeting people, and with the depth with yourself if you're having a quiet time. So, at this time, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be happy and positive. And we need to stop that, all right? Pretend positivity isn't a way of life, okay? Like I said, if you're tired, and that's okay. It's been a big year. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and just know and it's just tiredness and you don't need to look any deeper into it, you can just be how you are and just take that pressure off. I think, like I said, I think a lot of people put this glitz and glamour on at this time of season and it just doesn't feel quite right all the time. So I'm giving you the key of permission to be totally you. If you're positive one day and you're a little bit sad the next, that's okay. Is that cool with you? Can you type in the chat cool if you're with me on that? The last thing I want you to do is like be in a straitjacket of pretend positivity and just feel like, oh, you know what it's like when you have to pretend. It's just not going to work. Yeah. So for sure, if you're feeling excited and happy, be excited and happy. Like Ash, general manager here, loves Christmas. Loves it. We'll listen to Christmas songs all day. Probably listens to Christmas songs in her sleep, to be honest. Right? That's awesome because that's who she is. That's what she loves, and that's important. So if you're excited, great. Just because I'm saying don't pretend to be positive doesn't mean you don't have to be positive if you're not feeling it. Okay. Yeah, I think you understand. Lachelle's like, yeah, very cool. Okay, cool. We've got that. So number one, you've got permission to be yourself. You can take the pressure off. If you're tired one day, that's okay. I'm going to give you a bonus tip at the end, which will help you feel more empowered on those hard days. Number two, eat well. This is really important. So many people overlook this where, it's the holiday season, so I might sleep in a little bit and then I feel like just toast with jam on it. And if you know me well enough, I don't like toast on jam for breakfast. It doesn't count. I don't count that as breakfast unless you're recovering from like a gut bug or gastro. Then jam on white toast can be very, very helpful. But day to day, it's something that we don't want to do. All right. We want to make sure we're eating nutritious whole foods. Okay. So make sure you start the day with a good, healthy breakfast. Even if you don't feel like it, and there's a key point there. I know a lot of you don't feel like having a healthy breakfast in the morning. If that means that you can't stomach like a full breakfast, try something like a healthy whole food smoothie, or try something maybe like a half breakfast, right? It might not be a full spread of, eggs and fruit or vegetables or whatever you're going to have. It might be half a serving of what you would typically have for lunch. Something's better than nothing. And there's a reason why that we don't want you to be on an empty stomach. if you think about it like a car, if you start the morning with no fuel, there's no fuel to use to get through the day. Also, this is going to be great for restoring your blood sugar levels and ensuring that you've got sustained energy throughout the day. Again, if you just had like bread for breakfast, it's just not going to sustain you. And what's going to happen is by 11 a.m. in the morning, you're going to want to reach for the candy, the chocolate bars, and all those types of things as well. And so if you start your day with a healthy breakfast, this is less likely to happen. You're less likely to have these, sugar cravings and crashes, right? Sugar crashes. If you don't have that stuff, you're going to avoid it completely, which is great. So just make sure you're having a balanced meal with quality protein and good carbohydrates. And of course, you can add in good healthy fats like egg yolks, avocado, things of that nature as well, if you prefer. This is an interesting tip that I think, again, I want you to think about this holiday season, and it's eat desserts and chocolate after lunch, but not before dinner or after dinner. Okay. Now this is really important. So has anyone ever done this where you go out for dinner, or you're having a feast at home, and then everyone's like, let's have chocolate for dessert, and so you have the chocolate, and then someone brings a cake over, so you have the cheesecake too, and then your button on your top jean kind of pops open, and it's like, oh, or you feel like you just have to pop it open a little bit just for your stomach to breathe, and you just feel so full. It's called a food coma. I don't know if you guys say that overseas, but in Australia we call it a food coma. And it's like where you're just like, oh man, oh, I'm so tired from eating. That was so much. Yeah, not good. And then you don't sleep as well. And so we want to avoid eating lots of sugar and stimulants. Yeah, exactly. Kendra, it is not fun at all. And it's like you learn from it and you're like, I'm never doing that again. And then you forget about it. And like 6 months later, the same thing happens. So I'm totally all for having your dessert or having your treat, but have it after lunch. And there's two reasons why. One, if you have a good healthy lunch first, so you're quite full, you're satiated with good protein, whole foods. After lunch, you're less likely to binge on, desserts and sweets of that nature. But it's totally fine to have that. The good thing is you've got still 7, 8 hours until, your bedtime, your natural time that you would go to sleep. And so what we want to do is not have those sweets from 3 p.m. onwards, basically, because they're kind of classified as stimulants. Yeah. And that's not going to help you. Yeah, and some of you have, like someone said here, I've got Christmas parties a lot of times over 18, 19. Cool. It's a choice. No one's grabbing the cake and putting it down your throat, are they? I hope not. That wouldn't be a cool. I mean, I don't know, but that wouldn't be a cool Christmas party. So you get to choose what goes in your mouth, right? And this is why this tip is so important. Number two, eat a healthy breakfast because you won't want to eat the sweets later. Number two, eat a healthy lunch and make sure you're getting enough protein in every single meal. This will just avoid you wanting to eat or overeat those desserts in the first place. Has that ever happened to someone before where you eat so well and you're so satiated that you don't even feel like the sweets? Yeah, a lot of you have done that. I know you guys who have been in the program for long enough, you've gone through all the nutrition stuff and you've actually lived and it feels good. So make that your priority. If you're someone who really craves sugar, your priority needs to be whole foods and protein in every single meal and just watch what happens. Yes, it's a little bit boring. Yes, it's not going to be fun as exciting. And you can still have your chocolate or your cheesecake. It just might not be this big. It might be this big, like a tiny, tiny little sliver. And you can say that, I'll have a little sliver today, just a little bit. That's what my mum used to say all the time. Just a sliver, just a sliver. Not the whole cake, Toby. I know you want to eat the whole cake. So does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yeah. Have dessert after lunch, not after dinner. You will thank me for it. You will thank me for it. And then if you do have dessert after dinner, you're going to go, Toby was right. Right? Don't beat yourself up. Not a problem. I'm not going to be upset with you, but these are just tips to help you through this. Okay. Like I said, you're better off having a good, healthy lunch and then dessert after that. You'll find you'll sleep better if you don't have chocolate or heaps of sugar before sleep. Yeah, makes perfect sense, Trish says. Number 4, be present and have some fun. And this is going to look different for everyone. Uh, so, like, I've got some tips here, but I want to get you to write some out too. Like, let's start with this. If you can go outside, go outside. Play with your pet. Maybe someone else brings their pet over, or there's a pet in the house. Play with the pet, have some fun. Roll around on the grass, have a laugh, and just let go and play a little bit. And when we can get out of our heads and into our body and just kind of play, that's when kind of life happens. And so I'd love to give you about a minute right now. What are some kind of things that bring you a little bit of joy that you can do for yourself with people or without people? So there might be some things in your routine. Yeah. So Evelyn says our family loves games, dancing, singing, laugh more. Kendra says listen to music. I was just gonna say, listen to music's a great one. Hey Peter. Hey Penny. Time with the kids and the grandkids. Playing Catan. Yeah, games, board games and cards. Samantha says, walk down the beach is a family tradition. Ride my bike, Sushi says. Snuggles, arts and crafts. Hey, Allison. Solving puzzles with daughter. Christmas karaoke. That sounds super fun, Hannah. Christmas karaoke. God, Ash would love that. I didn't even know that was a thing. That's cool. Nature. So there might be some little moments throughout the day where you can literally embed this. Be present, and have some more fun. Now, being present and fun don't always coincide, so it can be either this or that, right? If you're really craving some solo time, go out in nature. Sit out in the backyard, or just say, I'm just taking a little break and go and do your thing. It can be really, really replenishing for your energy levels. Number 5, really simple one, but super, super helpful. Uh, I'll get to some questions at the end. Rest. Rest when you need to rest. No one really cares what you do in terms of rest. Like you probably think, oh my God, what are they going to think if I go and rest right now? Like, how am I going to explain myself? Like, what do I do? They're not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. They're probably having alcohol, or they're probably having dessert after dinner because they're not on this call and they don't understand this kind of stuff. But one of the things that we can get stuck in our heads about is, what are they going to think? What do I say? Sometimes you don't need to say anything. Literally just go check yourself out. They won't even notice. In Australia, there's a thing called smoke bomb where you kind of leave without telling anyone. And so smoke bomb for rest as well. And then just come back after 20 minutes or an hour or whatever you need and come back and it's like nothing ever happened. Hey. Oh yeah, Kendra says ghosting. Whatever it is in your country, just politely take yourself to where you want to go rest. And rest. Yeah, Danny's like smoke bomb, clap, clap, clap. So smoke bomb for rest is totally fine. Um, Kim says, my husband is a smoke bomb master. Okay, we can all learn from Kim's husband. He's a good role model, she says. Yeah, it's super important. So, it's literally just taking yourself to the place that you want to go rest. If you feel like you want to share with everyone, which is probably not necessary, but if you want to tell your husband or your partner or your loved one, hey, I'm just ducking out for a little bit just to recharge. That's it. No explanation, no oversharing. I'm just ducking out to just recharge my batteries. I'll be back later. Helpful? Yeah. Maybe don't say a toilet break, Gail, because they might come to the toilet like they're like, Gail, how long's it been in there? Gail, are you okay in there? It's 20 minutes. Another tip is, which doesn't work so well at Christmas time, but especially during normal daily routine and structure in households, is saying that you've got an appointment. And the great thing is you can use us as an example, right? So let's say you need an hour on your own and you've got kids and it's really tough, or teenagers. You can say, hey, I've just got an appointment online for the next 1 hour. So I'm going to be in my room, but please don't interrupt me because, it's my time and I'll be available after then. And I've used this with clients over the years and it's been so helpful. It's just like an appointment with your doctor, your psychologist. It's an appointment with yourself, really. And so whether you want to say it's an appointment with yourself or it's an appointment, with someone online, it's an appointment with CFS Health. You're going to watch some trainings. You're going to do a visualization. You can use one of the many meditations that we have for you. And you can just use that as a reason for self-time. But that will be really, really helpful as well. But yeah, don't over-explain. That's one of the biggest key points here is just like, hey, I'm going to recharge my batteries. I'll be back when I'm feeling a bit more up to it. Exactly. Allison said it's an appointment with my bed. There you go. Now, for you guys who said before that you just really, really crave sweets all the time, make sure you're checking your hydration, especially first thing in the morning. Now, there's a reason why is because overnight, your whole body is basically using the water and the fuel that you fed it to replenish itself. And so you might notice that when you go to the bathroom in the morning, your urine is usually more of a yellow color. But throughout the day, if you're drinking enough water, it'll usually become more clear. And so make sure first thing in the morning that you have 2 glasses of water, just as a standard kind of rule of thumb, just to get some hydration back in your body. The other thing is you might be mistaking hunger for thirst. Okay. So just make sure you're sipping. A little tip is to have a water bottle with you just around the house. Leave it around places just so you're constantly sipping. If you're someone who really struggles with water, I know I've had lots of clients over the past. They set themselves reminders on their phone. So literally put in your calendar, type in drink water Patrice right now. And then it pops up on your phone. Patrice, drink water right now. Okay, I'm going to quickly get a drink of water and drink right now. Okay. Don't overcomplicate it in terms of like how many ounces, just drink water. I have 2 of these straight away in the morning, over like 10 minutes maybe. I have it next to my bed. Here's the key tip. If you want to do something, make it as easy as possible to do it, right? So, I always say success leaves clues. Leave success close to you. If you want to drink more water, put it next to your bed. So the night before you go to sleep, fill it up, put it on your bed. Say, thank you, water. Wake up in the morning. What is the first thing you do when you take your eye mask off and your earplugs are out? If that's you, you see the water and you pick it up and you drink. And then you go from dehydrated to hydrated and you're like, oh, I feel much better now. All right. It'll really help you, especially do it before breakfast. You don't want to have the 2 glasses straight after breakfast. That wouldn't be so lovely on your digestive system. So make sure you have the water first thing, and then you can have your breakfast as well. Hey, Martin in the house. Just saw you join. Great to see you. Number 7, don't take on other people's stuff. If you know a particular person who stresses you out, or who is kind of, not that fun to be around, you can just keep it light around them and civil. One of the things, rather than like avoiding or hiding, you can kind of just break the ice, but then keep it light. And what I mean by that is like, yeah, just be polite and nice, but you don't have to talk to them. You don't have to overshare. You can just like keep it super light and kind of like jokey, and it won't be as much of a bigger deal as it needs to be. Okay. And another thing with that is kind of just acceptance. I think so much at the time we can just think, oh, that person's this and this person's that, and they should be doing this and they shouldn't be doing that. Just watch our judgment on that. And what would happen if you just accepted them for who they are? It would carry a little bit less weight, wouldn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Ever notice that where you're just like, ah, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. And it's out of your control. It's literally out of the circle of your influence completely. And you're just like, the whole day is just frustrating and draining. And then if you could just stop yourself for 5 minutes and maybe you take that to the toilet or to the rest break or the recharge period for you, and you just sit there and go, what would it be like if I just accepted this person? Doesn't really matter anymore, does it? Obviously, you don't want to accept poor behavior, or if it's affecting you personally, you want to use, express boundaries. But in this situation, it's just perfectly fine just to accept people for how they are and just notice what happens. Yeah. Lean in, let go, and breathe, Kendra says. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So just check yourself before you wreck yourself. Sorry, that wasn't included in this talk, but I think that's a wrap. But yeah, you literally check yourself before you wreck yourself. You don't want to say something or be out of line when it just you could have kept it light. You just chill, accept that person for who they are, even though they might be kind of annoying and just not your type of person. It's totally fine. Kelly George, it's a wrap. Okay, it is a wrap. I didn't know that. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Okay, keep it light. I think you got that. Appreciate your loved ones. In reflection to that, as the opposite is, tell your loved ones the things that you appreciate about them and the things that they do well. I think we can be so focused on ourselves that maybe it's time just to give some love back. And look, no one's perfect. So I'm sure there's things that you're like, man, that person could do better at this, or that, they weren't so supportive here, or they didn't reach out to me on my birthday. Just stop that and just try and find one thing that you could acknowledge them for and just notice and say it. Hey, super random, but I just noticed like you're so good with the kids, like in these periods, like you're so good with them. And just watch the responses that you get and the reactions. What? I just noticed every time you come around, the fruit platter is just perfect. Like you pick the best strawberries and the best blueberries every single time. I just want to say thank you so much. And just go and just watch their face reaction. Like, really? No, seriously, thank you. It's beautiful. Like, if I wasn't in this CFS health program, I'd be having the dessert 3 times after dinner as well. But I'm not going to do that. That's how good it is. Right? Yeah, just find some things that you can be grateful for and share that. And if you wanted to take a notch forward, maybe you could write a card. Caught up with a friend last night for dinner. She sneakily left a card under my kitchen table, not knowing, and I woke up to it and I thought, that's weird. I didn't remember someone giving me a card, and it was a really beautiful handwritten card. And I think we can all agree we love that. So there's some little things you could do throughout this holiday season. And for the person that really frustrates you, we were just talking about point 8 before, point 7, the people that frustrate you. See if you can find one thing that they do good, or at least send them some love. Usually people who are really annoying, they're kind of hurt. They're struggling with something and they're kind of overcompensating in a different way, whether that's drinking too much alcohol, maybe a stressful period going on in their lives, and they're trying to cope. And so, you could say, oh, hey, hey, Clint, um, like, is everything okay? Or, I love your haircut. Looks really good. Really suits you. Keep it light. Yeah. Tiny, tiny little tips, but just so game changing. We call them icebreakers, but they're super relaxed and and easy to do. Okay, so recap. Appreciate your loved ones. Everyone with me on that one, just comment the word yep in the chat if you're with me, or maybe you got some ideas already. Taking the focus off you and onto somebody else is so powerful. Yeah, Evelyn. Yes, Nicholas, exactly. Especially, Nicholas, so great to see you here. I think you just joined like the other day. Super important, especially for caregivers. Yeah. Man, shower people with love. Like shower your loved ones with love and just watch what happens, especially when you've been so focused on yourself lately, which is not a bad thing. But it's important that, other people get acknowledged too. Hey, Jenny. Last one. Give yourself permission to have some down days, to relax, to not do too much for a few days. Stick to what works for you. If that means having a slow morning, if that means sticking to your daily routine, you might want to use the daily planner through this period where you're setting an intention. Maybe you have 2 or 3 items on your intentions list that you're focused on. Maybe it's like a journal, a meditation, and some restorative movement, or you might be doing some stretching routine. You might have your set meals. Just keep some things in balance in some regularity, and the rest of the time, just you can have some downtime as well. Yeah, give yourself permission to do that. Super important. 2 things I'm going to share with you, 2 extra tips. So that's the 9. But before we go into your next focus, there's 2 more. One that Genevieve brings up, which is around boundaries, and the other one is how to express yourself in an empowering way. So when there are family members or people who really grind your gears, or are narcissistic by nature, maybe they try and push your buttons. What you want to do is, first of all, check within yourself and watch your own ideas and thinking and anticipation around this. So rather than just presume that this person's going to annoy you or be rude, so forth, maybe just don't anticipate that happening at all, and just notice what happens without the judgment of like, this person's that person's this, and maybe they are, but maybe it's not useful to keep thinking that way. If someone keeps pushing your boundaries beyond what feels appropriate, you can just simply check out. Hey, I'm just going to check out of this conversation and walk away. Put yourself in a different environment, if that's in a different room or with different people. If you're in a Christmas setting with lots of people, just remove yourself from that environment, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to over-explain yourself. You don't need to get in a fight. You can go, you know what? I'm just looking after me. I'm looking after me, and I'm going to give myself permission to do that. Of course, we have some really helpful tips inside the hub, some videos that you can watch in terms of expressing boundaries appropriately. But again, you don't want to give these people too much airtime where you get into a dialogue, because let's face it, these types of people love dialogue and they love to win. And by you still engaging in that environment with them, they're going to keep going. So the best thing is just take yourself out of that environment completely. Right. And if you can't, just simply ignore and don't engage. Eventually, it's just going to get boring for them. They're going to give up. They're going to go somewhere else. Yeah. Yeah. And again, find the people in the room that you really, really want to be with and just hang out with them and just tell them, hey, I came here for you. I don't really love being here with everyone, but I just wanted to be with you, Dad. That can be so, so powerful. And let them know, and it'll feel really, really good. Yes. Oh, I love this saying. I think it's McNair says it's like not putting more wood on a fire. It will go out. 100%. Yeah. So don't put more wood on the fire. It eventually will go out. It'll become boring for them. They'll just leave. They'll be like, can't do this. Like she's not giving me anything. Yeah. And just allow what happens. Lastly, my bonus tip, which I think is probably the most important one. You're all probably thinking, well, Toby, what do I say when someone asks me how I am? If you've been working on your recovery and people know about it, maybe you feel judgment. Maybe you think like, oh, what do they think about this chronic fatigue thing or fibromyalgia or whatever it is? And you might feel a lot of anxiety and build up around that because there's judgment and they might be judging you. They might be thinking things of like you're just lazy or, you're just not motivated. All those typical common sayings that people say who don't understand what you're going through. But here's what I know. You are working on your recovery. True or false? Let us know in the chat. True or false? Are you working on your recovery? Cool. Are you working on your health? True or false? Cool. True, 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 true. A million truths. Okay. Uh, can we agree that some days are harder than others and some days are easier than others? Yeah. Okay, cool. This is what you're going to say. When someone goes into your room or wherever you're at, you walk into the house and they're like, oh my God, Sarah, it's so good to see you. How are you going though? Like, are you okay? And you go, yeah, I'm working on my recovery. I'm working on improving my health. Some days are easier, some days are harder. And, I'm moving forwards. How are you? And just breathe. Once you say, how are you? And you just breathe, see what happens. How does that feel when I just said that to you compared to, Sarah, how are you? Oh my God, like, yeah, like some days are good, but like today I feel really horrible. And like, sometimes I just don't know like how I'm going to feel. And then, no one really understands and it's exhausting and it actually doesn't help you. You are going to feel so much more empowered because it's true, right? What you're doing, what I've just stated is very, very true. And watch how you feel when you say it over and over and over again. It works great. Jake, exactly. Jake's in lifestyle integration. Jake says, that's how I respond every time. It works great. It's energizing and empowering, right? Hey, thanks for asking. Yeah, I'm working on my recovery. If you wanted to, you could say I'm in this brilliant program called CFS Health. I'm working on my recovery. I'm improving my health. Some days are easier than others. Some days are harder than others, but overall, I'm moving in the right direction. Thanks for asking. How are you going? What's been happening in your life lately? Watch what happens when you start asking people how they are and what's been going on with them. Yeah, you don't have to give fuel to sickness at all because you're talking about you're moving forwards with your health. You could even share your dreams and goals if you wanted to. Maybe you could even share some wins that you've had. I've really stabilized my baseline lately. I attended this awesome Christmas party. We got to listen to this like famous musician from Australia. It was amazing. How's your work Christmas party? Like, what did you do? Like, literally, you have it at your fingertips. Beth Morgan, you don't need to say anything. The question is, but what do you do when you don't have energy to stay more than a few minutes? You can say exactly the same thing. Hey, I'm working on my recovery right now. My health is my number one priority. And so I've got to honor where my capacity is at, and sometimes I've got to, take some recharge breaks, and other times I can engage for a little bit. Yeah, Nicholas, that's helpful. I want you to try the empowering sentence instead. So that's good. Try this and flip it and see the difference it makes on how you feel. This isn't even about them, it's actually about you. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Beth, you do what you can do. So if it's 3 minutes or if it's 10 minutes or if it's 4 hours, it doesn't really matter. It's the same for everybody in terms of teaching of what we teach with the framework. Do what's appropriate for you. And you can just simply say that I've got to do what's appropriate for me. Yeah. Super, super helpful. What's the biggest one that stood out for you? Don't write the number, write the actual thing. What's going to be most helpful for you if you actually uh, try one on and take it? Yeah, Kendra, you get to choose. Type it in the chat right now. Don't try and be what you're not. Awesome. Rest. Don't pretend anything. Kendra says, I have an appointment. Yep. Just don't do it in the toilet. Although I do know a health coach, Paul Check. I did a workshop with him years ago, and he said, he's from America. Yeah, he's good. He's a little bit out there, but for some of these stuff's really, really good. And he said, I meditate before every speech I do, and I do it. I go to the toilet. I sit on the toilet. Whatever you got to do, you got to do it. He was very extreme. But yeah, he used to meditate on the toilet before he'd go on stage and do talks. Okay, let's get back into it. Genevieve Barrel says, I'm going to, the smoke bomb is my new favorite. Don't take it on other people's stuff. Yeah, so Katrina, use what I just gave you, the empowering sentence. And by the way, guys, if you need a refresher, we have the training inside the hub called How to Express Where You're At in an Empowering Way to Family, Friends, and Members and Loved Ones. It's in the all things recovery category in family and friends and loved ones section. Literally, it's a 7-minute training that will change your life. You just have to go and do it though. You can't just sit there and be like, oh, it's so hard. Go and watch the training and just do it and just watch what happens when you actually do it. Just like Jake said, who's been in lifestyle integration for, I think Jake, you've been here for over a year. This stuff works, but you do have to do it and apply it. And this is your chance to really, really change you, how you are, how you feel. This is a chance for you to do that. Yeah. Yes. Lachelle, watch your life change when you don't need to give permission to be you, and you don't have to over explain. The over explaining is what totally trips people up. You try this new way on, it's like think of it like a new piece of clothing, and it's bright and sunny and light and easy. You get to breathe again. You get to walk into a room and feel more empowered. You don't have to feel drained every time you see someone. It's a game changer. All right, guys. Big love. Have a fantastic day wherever you are. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.